Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the show. I am your host, the one and the only, Proud 4%er, where I take my time to help you, my viewers, think outside of the 96% Democratic black voting box. Well, 96%ers, as I was reading a left-leaning pundit's news article today, whose storyline was alluding again to all the post-election political theorists postulating a changing of the guard within the voting electorate. That is evidenced by the results of November's victory re-election of President Obama. The headline title was, "Hey, white guys, it's time to share America," with the subheading, read, "The voter turnout for minorities and women is a sign that white male privilege is coming to an end." What exactly is being referred to here? 96%ers, I will get to that, which will be my main point in my enlightening rant of proselytizing deliverance today. Let me begin with how the article segued gradually to this noticeably victocrat's point of view, being victim of the evil white Republican cabal, by making reference to the 1976 The United Artists movie release, Rocky, the story of an obscure, aging Philadelphia boxer, an underdog who challenged insurmountable odds to get his shot at facing a brutish, flamboyant champion. The writer states that in his opinion, that it's easy to see the character Rocky as an analogous metaphor for white men who felt they were slowly losing control over a society that they felt was their birthright to dominate, and his opponent, Apollo Creed, was a cartoonish characterization of Muhammad Ali, whose over-the-top persona had been an offense to the sensibilities of many whites ever since he defied the draft and refused to go to Vietnam. He also states that at the time, much of the country still hated Ali for that, so for them to see Rocky challenge this pompousness odd Ali, personified in Creed, was a welcome draw to the movies. Though Rocky had lost to this bad black man, the film signified a call to action for white men to defend what was right and just. His boxing analogies he relates to re-election victory of Barack Obama in winning both in the popular vote and electoral votes, and these votes today are being seen by many white male conservatives as a historic tipping point that indicates the demise of white male societal dominance. He also made reference to white conservatives like Bill O'Reilly and said of him that upon Obama's victory, the Fox News radio host announced it as if it were a declaration of America's new identity, referencing where O'Reilly stated the white establishment is the minority. He also quotes conservative pundit Pat Buchanan saying, "White America died last night," attributing this as Buchanan mourning that America had become a socialist Latin American nation, and going on to say that these are paranoid expressions that are probably not isolated, alluding that they are the sentiments of all white males in America. 96%ers, I want you to follow me as I expose the duplicitous thinking and reasoning of those on the left, and the left's necessitation of this duplicity in order to continue to view 21st century America through 19th century fogged spectacles, whereby only a true leftist victocrat can accomplish such feats. Here is what I mean by that. He attributes Obama's win to garnering the votes of minorities and women as basically what put Obama over the top, while acknowledging that 39% of whites voted for Obama. As far as the black vote, that we already know how many you voted for him. Your vote was a given. He got 71% of Latinos, as well 55% of the female vote. Wait, who are the females? Well, they are single white women being counted twice, when separated, then counted as a minority. Duplicity. He feeds you fear by saying, what is scary about this to the old guard? This old guard is a subliminal expression of conservatives or Republicans. Traditionally, white votes were enough of the bloc. That's how other groups, non-whites, chose to behave at the polls in national elections was really of little consequence. This old guard now knows that they must come to grip with the fact those minorities are on track to become America's majority population by 2050, with an 18% increase in the number of female voters heads of households, now means that they have a say in who best represents their interests. According to this victocrat, it is no longer enough to be a white guy. In other words, when you read between the lines, as your proud 4%er is quite capable of, those evil Republican, old-age white men are the white guys. The writer wants you to believe that this outdated, evil group of we hate everyone but ourselves bunches only acceptable version of a president is one who presents the Ward Cleaver image of a square-jawed white male, and that anyone who can't be Ward Cleaver does not deserve the chance to run for president. Speaking in relation to this subliminalized old guard, saying that the now hold on power that these guys always took for granted is slipping away, in large due to this evolving collective of voting minorities, while reiterating that their racial rhetoric is still very dangerous, making this so-called rhetoric analogous to how Hitler used it to rise to power and take over Germany by stating that the Germany people were victims of the evil Jews, and the same way rhetoric was also used when the Ku Klux Klan was founded in 1865, which considered themselves victims of the newly freed evil black slaves. 96%ers, those would be your ancestors. Although 96%ers, according to the writer, this evil Republican cabal has lost is voting power to keep you down. Stay on guard for them, because the old white guys don't have too much to worry about yet. And why? Well, they've still got all the money. That means that for the foreseeable future, these old white Americans can continue to comfortably adhere to the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. The consolation for non-whites is that in national elections, the new minority cabal have the golden ticket, the vote giving all you victocrats a tool that can work to even the playing field. He then shouts, with unabated glee, I suppose, and now that we have it, we're not letting it go. Here is a clue for all you herded to the voting polls sheeple. Imagine him raising his fist and shaking it profusely as he again shouted, we finally realize, in large enough numbers, what a blessed privilege it is to cast a ballot. I must quote his entire closing paragraph to clear up the premise of this victocratic psychobabble, to keep you corralled within their free-arranged, yet psychologically confined, 96% and Democratic Party overseen black voting box. He concludes as follows, quote, the evidence is poignantly tangible that white men must now share America with everyone else. In the 18th century, white men who were afraid of what enslaved blacks should do if they became educated passed laws that forbade teaching them to read. These were the same men who followed doctrines declaring that blacks were 3/5 of a person and who considered it preposterous that a woman should vote, unquote. Just a side note from your proud 4%er, the overwhelming owners and perpetuators of slavery in this country were Democrats, and might I add for the record, the Ku Klux Klan was from as the terrorist wing of the Democratic Party in retaliation to the Republican Party's Reconstruction policies to giving free slaves equality of representation after the Civil War. Okay, more duplicity. The one group these pundits seem to always leave out is the white male Democrat voter. The reason is because when you think of white men, the black leadership, would have you believe that they are all those evil Republicans, period. The white male Democrats, you know, the group that started the KKK, they are namely, yet votes. Single white women are part of the evil majority. The white lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered, call the LGBT community, the white Democrat voting college student, the poor white unemployed from Appalachia and every state, city, or town across the U.S. are white and minorities at the very same time. They have strategically placed all of those non-blacks into one generalized group along with the rest of you 96%ers to include them as your joint victocratic members, oppressed of those evil white old rich Republicans. But at the same time, when convenience demands, are used by your leaders as those who victimize you, as just the white man. That's duplicity that, my friends, is having it both ways. The truth is, this country is not a country just run by a group of dying old white guys who dwell on the right side of the political spectrum, but that is what they want you to believe, and they do know agendas can be obtained by the powers of a voting group. The fact is, the white majority is not dying, but rather they're out to get me. They don't like me. They won't let me. How can they do this to me? What can you give me? And the on and on victocrat me community is growing larger every election cycle, and my 96% of friends trust me on this one. That is not a healthy citizenry for any nation. Well, folks, that's all the time I have in this segment. As always, until we next meet, this again your host, the one and the only proud 4%er, providing you with the necessary tools to cut your way out of the 96% Democratic black voting box.